Behind every brand people remember is a strong communicator, making sure its story is seen, heard, and felt. For more than 20 years, Kim Marshall has used public relations to elevate businesses, strengthen communities, and amplify the people shaping culture. As founder of Wilson Marshall PR and Events, her approach begins with one powerful belief about communication.
Communications is the root of every single thing that you do, and you have to invest in it. The old school business plan had advertising, one line. Yeah, that's out. That's not what we do. We are doing so much more than that. It's publicity, it's strategic communications, it's social media. Now, a lot of people are in business and they're just doing social media, and that is not enough.
Award Tour Talks. What first pulled you into the PR and communications world?
Well, it started at FIT, where I went to school and graduated from. I originally went to FIT to become a fashion merchandising major, which in translation is a retail buyer. I love shopping, I love fashion. I believed it was going to be a great way for me to travel the world and do all these great things. And I was in my first semester there, and I failed math terribly, and I needed a tutor. And even after I had the tutor, I still failed. And I said, well, I got to get out of this. And I ended up having a class called Introduction to Public Relations. And that changed my whole way of thinking. Because once I truly understood what public relations was, I said, oh, I've always been interested in this. I love talking. I love reading. I love the news of all kinds. I love writing. So I realized it was a whole industry. The first project I did was we had a class project and we had to write about a professional in the public relations industry, and I learned about the amazing Terry Williams, who was like my North Star.
Wow.
Whom I had the pleasure of meeting a few years back and almost like started crying. I was fangirling all the way out. She said, honey, pull it together. But Terry Williams came from a whole different background and kind of fell into public relations. And she wrote an amazing book called The Personal Touch, and that led me into this industry that I've been in for over 20 years already.
Oh, man, can't believe this. Yeah, it's been 20 years. I think I've known you for about that long.
Yeah.
Basically. So when I met you, were already doing events, kind of like
Yeah, when we met, I was freelancing in PR because I had some experience, but still, earning my way, learning my way, and then I would do events, which was my other favorite thing to do. But public relations for a long period of time into now became the thing I focused on the most because it's all about storytelling, and that's the thing I really love the most. And there's so many different stories to tell in so many different ways through different mediums, so that's been my focus.
At that time, the city was on fire. It was magical time.
It was a magical time.
We met through the fabulous Nelson Baroa. Shout out to Nelson Baroa.
Yes.
And we did our first event. What was that called? It was for a movie.
It was for a movie, so yeah, Honeybee. It was for Urban Worlds, which was a film festival, which still exists on a smaller scale, but they still exist. And some way through a connection, I got them as a client, Honeybee the film, and it was an independent film about a black girl boxer. And it was just super interesting and fun. And they were like, hey, we only have a little money, we want to do some press, we want to also do a party. And that's where you came in and Nelson came in, and I was like, okay, I need a space. I need to do this because I need to accomplish this goal, and that's how we initially started working together.
No, it was crazy because the film had Thelma from Good Times.
Yes, it did.
And
Bernadette Stannis
and Uncle Phil. What's his full name?
Oh my
Phil
God.
Avery.
Something Avery. Yes.
And they were at the event. To this day, the bad seed still ask me for that picture of him
with Bernadette Stannis.
Yes.
Well, the coolest. So, see how that excited you? So here's what excited me. If you're in PR, Flo Anthony came. Flo Anthony is the predecessor to Gossip and the block to Wendy Williams.
Right.
Still present. We don't throw him. All of those kinds of people. Flo Anthony was that in written form, and she came, and I was like, I was like, I made it. So I felt very proud of that. Yeah, I remember.
No, it's amazing. It's funny you say you got Honeybee as a client back then, but what made you, did you even start your personal PR communications company then?
No. So interestingly enough, I knew I had the experience of having a handful of internships in public relations for different agencies. With the utmost respect, I respect the PR agencies. It is not easy work. You're dealing with so many different people. But for me, I didn't know if that was going to be the right place for me versus being with a organization or for a corporation. One of the other great women in PR that really inspired me is Margaret Brito.
Ooh.
Yeah, who started the Brito Agency.
Right.
I went on an interview at the Brito Agency when it was top, and I was like, wow, I can't believe they want to interview me. And at that time, I had a very small portfolio with a handful of independent projects that I had done, and she looked through it, and she met me. She said, "You're cute," and I said, "Oh, okay, I don't know where we're going." And then she said, "I'm not going to hire you though." And I said, "Well, all right." So I start packing up my stuff and feeling ashamed. And she said, "Let me tell you why. If you're coming in here with this, why you want to be in my agency? You're already doing it.
Right.
Just smaller. Get your things together, get your business in order, and go do your own thing."
Wow.
That was one time being dismissed and not getting a job was one of the greatest things that she could have told me. So I give, she is very much a trailblazer, very much should be well respected in PR, and she did a great segue from public relations into a whole other form, being in filmmaking and production, and branding. That inspired me a lot. So I was never excited to I want to work with an agency. Because when you have someone that established telling you, girl, just go ahead and figure it out, do your own thing.
Right.
That's how I kind of started in that way. And I started small from working with different people who truly word of mouth. Oh, she does this, she's good at that, and it grew from there.
You're in the business of, storytelling. What story were you trying to tell when you started your company?
So when I first started, when I wasn't as established, meaning my business wasn't established, not having a traditional business account and all of those things, because like they always say, it's like the music business, hey, it's a show business. It's 80% business, 20% show. It's the same in every industry. So the first time around, I was really just freelancing. I would work with different people, short term, long term, any term, and make magic happen. But when I started Wilson Marshall PR and Special Events, I was in a different space in my life. I was married, and I had a very young, rambunctious, wonderful 2-year-old, Mandela, who truly inspired me to start the company because the getting married and having a child changed my whole way of thinking about the workforce. What could I manage? What could I not? That work-life balance is a scam, and everyone cannot balance it. And I really wanted to be hands-on with Mandela. So when I started Wilson Marshall PR and Special Events, I truly built my business around Mandela's schedule. So I changed everything, did it the right way, got a business account, got a business attorney, got an accountant, took business classes, accounting, different things like that, because I knew what to do in my industry and how to get the clients, but I needed to get my business straight, and that changed so much. And this year we'll turn 14 years old.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
And he's tall. And
No,
he
no,
takes tennis.
No, the business turns 14 and he turns 16.
But Mandela.
Right. Yeah, he is. Which is why I gotta stay in business. That's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole nother conversation. So, with that being said, let's talk about how important storytelling is. You know, you work with nonprofits, entrepreneurs, hospitality, Why is storytelling or telling their story so important to the business?
That's a great question. I think that storytelling has always been there in different formats. What is imperative is consistency. Something that happens with different industries is that everyone thinks they're so separate. Well, I'm a nonprofit and I don't need to. well, I'm corporate and I'm at this level and I don't need to. And I'm going to tell you, I don't care what you are, you need to have consistent storytelling, rather than visual, written, using media in a traditional way, social media, visual media. You must do that. Storytelling is important because if you're not telling your story, you're not doing sales, you're not raising money, you're not getting people to your show, you are not investing in what your dream or activation truly is. So you need to have different types of people to help amplify who you are, what you're doing on a consistent basis.
Right. And you mentioned social media. Some people will be like, my nephew could just get on social media and promote.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Has social media changed PR for the worse or for the better?
Okay, so I embrace it. When it first came, I didn't fully get it, but I knew it was something. We started with we had Black Planet, but we don't really count that. Okay, I'm dating myself, that's fine. We had Black Planet, we had MySpace, we had these different platforms that were figuring it out. So what did it do? In my opinion, if you work in public relations, it took us to the next level. Because the truth of the matter is, yes, people are making individual content, but the content that propels our work is through social. Yeah, it's great to get that article, get on TV, but if you don't share it, that's what takes it to the next level. I have I'll just do it really brief. Figure Skating in Harlem is a client that I work with, and they have a show coming up, and they did an article for a local, hyper-local newspaper in New York City. The article was sweet, it was great. What's taking it to the next level? I don't know, we know our readership numbers, but I don't know how many people actually took the time to read it online or read it in print. But it got shared on Instagram. Every day, no less than 100 likes are happening to this. So in the PR industry, social media is your friend. Don't let it be your enemy. Same thing with AI. They can be your friend. Don't let it be your enemy. We have to embrace it and use it for the good, and also use it to amplify the work that we do to educate our clients how it's all in tandem.
Wow, that's crazy. What makes a story actually newsworthy?
Okay, I run into that a lot. So, newsworthiness is tell me something new and that's interesting. We launched a program. Okay, tell me all the benefits of it. Tell me what's interesting about it. How is it going to affect people? How will it change people? How is it supporting? If you don't have that, it's not newsworthy. Then you're kind of stuck. I think that's what happens with a lot of folks. They don't feel either. You have two situations happening where people are either, I want news for every single thing because I'm breathing, and then they'll say, well, so-and-so's going viral. That's how you see it.
Right.
But there was a 6-month program behind it. There was an 18-month program that you don't know about because there's something called a rollout. The everyday person does not know that. So newsworthiness truly is about connecting with people, showcasing something that is dynamic, fresh, new, and having proof of concept. That's another thing. That's a big thing that most of my nonprofit clients are going through where we are right now in society. You got to have proof of concept.
And what does that mean exactly, proof of concept?
Proof of concept is if you're an organization that's over 10 years old, they want to see, and the bird of our year is impact. Well, now we're in the second year of impact part 2. So impact is, okay, you raised all this money. Now show me what you did with it. How many people did you serve? How many people did you reach? How many people's lives have been changed? So in the nonprofit sector, it's that. In for-profit business, it's kind of the same thing. You've rolled out all of this money for this new whatever. Show us the return on our investment. We are knee-deep in the time of return of investment reporting. It's really important.
All right, well, if someone, or like you say, a brand has a powerful story with no PR budget, what should they do first?
They need to re-examine their budget. One of the things I talk about whenever I've had the opportunity to work with small business organizations, right? Harlem Business Alliance, New York Urban League. They've been so wonderful, so kind to me. I work with them as a consultant. So people are still using in business plan templates. They still have advertising. And we're not anti-advertising. You in communication, we all in the same game. But they still have a line for advertising. So guess what they don't have? Video, social media, PR, all those things. They don't have lines for that. People see advertising, get scared, and say, I don't have any money. And then you know what they do? Nothing.
Right.
And then they get their little cousin to do social media, and then everything's misspelled, things are upside down, you're posting on the wrong platforms at the wrong time. You know, no diss to your little cousin. He's up at 2 a.m., you know, and you're a funeral home.
Yeah.
This ain't gonna work, baby.
What's going on?
You know, but I'm telling you, that's what people are doing because they don't know. They still see, because advertising and communications was still the holy grail. It's another world. It's the guaranteed money world.
Yes.
PR is, we're kind of like, I guess if you want that, but it's really not, because we are the people that solidify if you're real or not. Social media is make-believe. We work with social media, but I can create whatever I want. I'm going to make you believe this is great. It's an amazing platform for that.
What was the hardest part about building Wilson Marshall PR?
Always the business. You know, staying on top of taxes, working with a CPA, working with a business attorney, working with clients that respect that you are operating a real professional services business, because it's a professional service. That all of those things are what most of my peers, we all experience and endure. And that goes all the way up to big agency level. Like, yeah, when you get to a certain plateau, they have a attorney on premises. Like a big agency, like an Edelman, you know, they have in-house attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that's really for? Somebody you pay.
Right.
Get them.
Award